Open world games have given us some of the most memorable experiences in gaming. But lately, have you felt that the magic is fading? Have we reached peak? And that's the question that we're asking. Are we reaching the limit of what open world games can offer? So, let's start with what makes open world games so incredible. So we have the freedom to explore vast landscapes, the thrill of discovery, and the sense that you're in a living, breathing world where anything can happen. From the peaks of Hyrule to the streets of Night City. These games have given us some of the most immersive experiences ever. But here's the thing, while these worlds are getting bigger and more detailed, are they really getting better? Because if we check the other side of the coin, as these worlds grow, so do the problems. Have you ever found yourself slogging through repetitive quests that feel more like chores? Or wandering through huge empty areas that look amazing but have nothing to do? And what about those bloated UIs and endless markers that tell you where to go, what to do, and how to do it? At some point you have to ask, are these games giving us freedom or are they just overwhelming us with options?
Like, just to be able to play this game is like such a fucking headache, man.
Now before we lock in, I want you to think about what frustrates you the most about modern open world games. Okay, so let's go straight to the point. I don't want to waste your time in this video. So I think that most people will agree that Grand Theft is the game that has the most influence on open world games. And since we got Grand Theft Auto 5, the amount of improvements that happened to open world games wasn't insane. We saw a lot of games copying the style while adding some flavors to it, like Watch Dogs 2 for example, and there's always that thing that looks the same, but with a few exceptions. We've seen some brilliant innovations that redefined what open world games could be. Games like Breath of the Wild broke the mold with non-linear exploration, which was a good thing, so they broke another barrier. But then Red Dead Redemption showed us how NPCs can be very intelligent and how your actions have so much consequences. But if you see here, those games shine in one thing. So they take the same idea and only innovate in one other thing. And I do not mean it negatively because these two games are incredible. But the amount of innovation that you can have in 2013 compared to 2024 is way more. And from 2020 till now, there's only two open world games that really did a great job. Obviously Elden Ring, which brought us a world that's as dangerous as it's rewarding. And Elden Ring was focusing on player-driven exploration rather than hand-holding. Because this was one of the main problems. Games now do treat players like they're idiots. I'm not even joking, like when you think about it, the amount of tutorials, the amount of arrows that you have and options, and Elden Ring went back to the roots of open worlds and was like, yeah, and with putting the Souls-like genre there, it was a perfect mix. But now when you ask yourself, okay, Elden Ring did a lot of changes now, but what can another game take from Elden Ring and make something extremely new? Because if we think about it, innovation is so hard now. Which takes me to the second exception, which is Cyberpunk 2077. And I think that Cyberpunk 2077 is one of the best games ever made. And if you look at its open world, it's kind of similar to a lot of others, but it checks almost everything that you want, and it adds a little flavor to it. Games that makes you want to explore are pretty rare now, because what games are focusing on are just graphics and environment, and we saw the rise of dynamic worlds where weather changes, NPCs react to your actions, and the world feels truly alive. These elements are pushing boundaries of what open world games can be, because now you can discover, for example, a hidden area or event triggered by dynamic world changes. But is this enough? Are these innovations truly leading us to the next level? Or are we just polishing the same formula? That's what I'm thinking. I think that we're just in the same loop. Because on the other side, currently if we look at World of Warcraft, any new player will be overwhelmed by this game. I will try to not look at all the MMO part of things, but just look at the UI of this game now. If you can understand that, it's because you're a WoW player. And here's where it gets interesting. While open world games are evolving, there's a growing sense that we might be hitting a ceiling. How many more fetch quests can we tolerate? How much bigger can these worlds get before they become too overwhelming, too empty? Some developers are already pivoting, looking at smaller, more focused experience or blending genres to keep things fresh. Are we on the brink of something new? or are we stuck refining what we already have? Recently, Black Myth Wukong just came out. It's not a open world game, but it has some open spaces. Why do you think they didn't go with open world? Because it's getting old. Because they don't know how to make open world better, or at least special. Look at a game like Hades. It's a smaller and tightly designed game, but it's so good. But let's talk about two games that have an insane, huge world. And the first one would be Starfield. Starfield is the best example of a huge, beautiful world that has so many empty spaces. Like when you play Starfield or any game that has the problem in open world, you will have that question, which is, okay, I'm exploring this place for 30 minutes, but there's literally nothing. Why did I waste my time? Okay, it's beautiful. Like, I don't think we can deny that Starfield has so many beautiful places, but also so many empty places. And Starfield is also a good example for a game that made developers even more scared. Because I genuinely think that Starfield tried to be innovative. These devs tried to make something new. They failed. So now a lot of devs are scared of innovation. But if we get back to the other side, we have No Man's Sky. This game is huge. This is the type of games, this also is the type of devs that we need. The devs that won't give up on innovation, but also the devs that know how to play around, just like Black Myth Wukong. Or let's take Genshin Impact or Wuthering Waves, for example. These games went with a normal open world, some good exploration, but as an open world experience, there's nothing crazy about these games in terms of how the world is alive. You might argue that they are mobile games, of course, but a world can be alive not just by having a million NPC. So these games know that they lack on this thing, so they go with the gameplay and the importance of characters. That's why Wuthering Waves is an open world game, but it's praised for its gameplay and boss fights. So now that's how some other devs are going through making open worlds secondary, which I don't think it's a good direction to go with in general. But at least if you know that you can be innovative, at least make something good and mix it with something that you can innovate in, like boss fights or gameplay. With all of that combined, open world games have come a long way, but I think that the journey is far from over. Whether we're hitting the limit or just scratching the surface of what's possible, one thing's for sure, there is still a lot more to explore, and I am putting all of my expectations in GTA 6. You know what's crazy? I'm not that excited about playing Grand Theft Auto 6. I'm actually excited about how this game will change open world, and I think a lot of people do agree with me. I genuinely believe that Rockstar and CD Projekt Red are the best in making open world games and innovating. So a new The Witcher or a new GTA are the way to go. If in a year Grand Theft Auto didn't work out as we thought, that's gonna be so concerning. Anyway, I hope that you like this type of a variety video. I'm planning on making more and more of these. If you liked it, don't forget to press the like button and sub to the channel. That was the video. Bye bye.